Great. So the materials I'll be using for these tutorials are my chalk, my scissors, tape measure, my African fabric, and my scuba fabric. Okay, and my zip and ruler as well. Okay, so I then folded the fabric into two like what I have done. So the bust measurement for my client is 5.5. That is 22 inches divided by 4 is 5.5 plus 2 inches as my sewing allowance, making 7.5. But I wouldn't be marking 7.5 because of the hem area. I wanted the A shape, so I'll mark out 10 inches. Okay, so afterwards I came to mark out the neckline, that is 2.5 width, and the length is 3 inches. I then connected the 2 points in a curvy way, so the shoulder line is also extended 2.5. Okay, so I then measure my dress length. So the dress length for my client is 22 inches plus 2 inches as sewing allowance, making 24 inches. So I marked out 24 inches at both sides and then connected the 2 points with my ruler. Okay, so the next thing I did was to come down from the armhole area. I came down from the shoulder line downwards 6 inches, and then I draw my armhole curve. Afterwards, I measured the bust measurement, that is 7.5 inches, 5.5 inches plus 2 inches as my sewing allowance, making 7.5. So I marked out the 7.5 and then connected the underarm where the 7.5 ended to the hem of the dress, that is sideways in a triangular shape or in an A shape. Okay, like what I have done. I will then go ahead and then cut along the lines marked. That's my neckline, my shoulder line, and then the armhole. Please, for the shoulder line, I sloped about half an inch from the neckline downwards to the armhole side. Okay, so the next thing to do is to cut out my back. So for the back, I left 1 inch at the back area. Okay, then placed my front onto it. So about to cut the neckline for the back, I divided the front neckline into two, that is 1.5. I marked out and then cut out the hem area, the side area, the armhole area, the shoulder line, and then the neckline for the back. Yes. So as you can see, I divided the front neckline into two, that is 1.5, and then marked out the back neckline and then cut out. So I went ahead to slope the shoulder line half an inch and then cut out the armhole as well. So the next thing to do is to go ahead and then indicate the zip allowance, that is the 1 inch I left at the back area. I then marked out 1 inch and then pin along. The next thing to do is to go ahead and bind the armhole and the neckline with my half-inch bias. I will then place the bias onto the wrong side of each sides and then sew along. Afterwards, I'll turn to the right side and top stitch, making the white surface show onto the right side of the fabric. So this is what I had after sewing along the armhole and then the neckline for both front and back pieces. I then went ahead to sew the back zip line to about 7 inches and then went ahead and fixed my zip as well. I will then go ahead and then shape the fabric or the pieces according to my client's measurement, that is bust 22, and then the hem area I didn't measure, so the hem area is like 40 inches. Okay, so at this point I then secured the shoulder line about half an inch downwards, and then the side and side I marked out 2 inches. Okay, so at the underarm part, that's the armhole part, I marked out 2 inches, but for the hem area I marked out 1 inch. But when marking, I marked out 2 inches. I realized after sewing, the hem area became small, so it was a bit difficult. It would have been a bit difficult for my client to throw her legs, so I reduced it to 1 inch. So for the armhole part, is 2 inches, but for the hem area is 1 inch. So I then connected the armhole part 2 inches downwards to the hem area 1 inch. Then I went to sew along. So after sewing the side and side of the dress, I then went ahead to fix the zip and then knitting the hem line, and then finished it by sewing. Okay, the next thing to do is to go ahead and then create a line at the hem area that is going to help me sew along the pleated scuba onto it. So I marked out 1 inch from the hem area. I marked out 1 inch all round the hem of the dress, like what I am doing. So I then connect all the points together this way. I did the same thing for the other side, that is the back. Great. After taking the lines all round, I then came up 3 inches from the 1 inch line I marked, 3 inches. I then took it also all round the hem, like what I am doing. I'll do the same thing at the front area, then connect all the lines like what I am doing. So the next thing to do right now is to go ahead and cut my scuba fabric. So I measured the width of about 3 inches, then I cut out about 7 to 8 strips. Afterwards, I joined all together to make a long band. After cutting and joining all the pieces together, this is what I got. Okay, so the next thing to do is to go ahead and place the long strip onto the lines I marked at the hem of the dress. Then sew along. I'll pleat along. Whilst pleating, then I'll be sewing along. I'll be placing the wrong side of the long band onto the right side of the dress like this. I'll place it on the line, then I'll go ahead and pleat along. So I'll make an inverted pleat. Yes, I'll be making an inverted pleat, then I'll sew along. I'll be doing it all round until it meets where I started. After sewing on the first line, I'll then bring it down to the second line. Then I'll do the same thing on the second line. Great, so this is what I got after sewing along the 2 lines marked. Very neat and nice. So you can try one for your girls in the house. Okay, so the next thing to do is to go ahead and create my bow tie strip. Yes, so at this point I came down from the neckline downwards about 1 inch or 1.5 inches. Then I created a point where I'll be placing my bow tie strip. For the bow tie, I cut a long strip of about 21 inches and the width of about 3 inches. I will then double fold and then top stitch. After top stitching and then getting my long strip of about the 21 inches long, I then indicated the center, that is 10.5, and then created my bow tie at the middle where I marked. Okay, so after creating the bow tie, I then took a pieces, folded it, and then tie it at the center of the bow tie, and then secured it with my thread and needle. I then went ahead to place it onto the chest of the dress. Went ahead to secure it at the back. I secured the bow tie onto the dress to make it very nice, neat and nice. So this is the final look after securing the bow tie onto the chest of the dress. Please subscribe to my channel and then share to friends as well. See you all in our next video. Bye.